Hey there, Maricopa. This is Maria Poor. I am one of the Cultural Affairs and Arts Committee members for the City of Maricopa. And here today we have one of our local artists creating one of the beautiful signal box portraits. I'm here today with artist Veronica Lichtenstein, who created this beautiful mural. Veronica, what does this represent for you?
This is, when I was thinking about Maricopa and the kind of box I would want to paint, I just started to think about like what's one of the main activities that like people in my neighborhood do, and me and my daughter go bike riding all the time, especially around Halloween and Christmas time, to look at all the displays and just enjoy the weather during that season. So I wanted to make a mural of a joyful bike ride, and that's what it is. It's a blissful joyride. This is part of our Super Bloom, and this is actually this street on Honeycutt, which was just like a month ago, was all blown up with these yellow trees and the green pieces out there. So it's just one of my favorites because it reminds me of the amount of fun times we had together going bike riding every night.
And this piece directly represents you and your family life and your family together. Describe that for us.
Absolutely. Like we love going on bike rides and going around the neighborhoods. We love getting picnics. We'll pick up Chipotle and then we'll just, find a spot under a tree and just hang out. And it's one of those things where she'll want to do it every night and she gets to talk about the end of her day and open up, and it's just a really fun event for us to do. And I think as I've been doing this piece and bike riders have come by, it's been fun to see families together see this and feel like they're being captured from Maricopa.
What does it mean to you to have this gorgeous public artwork up in your city?
Just the world. I'm so excited. I'm excited to have seeing the 9 other pieces that are going to be out there, just to see what everybody has and everybody's unique like fingerprint and art, and seeing what they're going to come up with. I'm just excited to see more of this throughout the city, because I think it just really brings out the community to life.
It does. It does. Thank you so much for being a part of our public art initiative here in the city of Maricopa. Thank you so much for gifting our community with your talents. It's beautiful and something that people can really enjoy and last a really long time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey Maricopa, I'm Quinn Knoll, the Communications and Cultural Services Director. We're here today taking another look at the bridge that's going across the Santa Rosa Wash. This is part of the Sonoran Desert Parkway project, and I'm joined here by Carrie Osborne, the CIP Project Manager. Carrie, as you've been overseeing this, it seems like we were here just a few days ago or a couple weeks ago, but man, in a short amount of time, there's been a lot of changes here. Tell us about this stage that we're at.
Sure, Quinn. We've made quite a bit of progress. Since the last time we were here, we were working on the abutments and the center pier for the bridge, but now we've even started to install the girders. We've got about half of them in place right now. We have 20 of them to install total. They each weigh about 90,000 pounds, so it takes 2 cranes to lift them and to put them into proper position. After we get those installed by this weekend, then we'll begin to do the formwork and build the deck, which is what people will actually drive across. That'll be our next step for it. So we're well underway to completing the bridge over the wash.
Now, people that live in Santa Rosa Springs, they know the importance of this, but for the rest of the city, they might not realize how important this is, that normally and traditionally when it's rained, it's been a problem for people that lived in this neighborhood.
Yeah, anytime the wash flows with any velocity at all, we have to close the gates and shut the road down, which means that there's only one way in and out, and that's across the railroad tracks. So if a train is blocking the tracks, it makes it difficult, for the emergency vehicles to get in and out. So having a bridge over the wash means that there'll be 24-hour, constant access into the subdivision for those people that live in Santa Rosa Springs.
So after the girders are installed, next it's time to hit the deck, right?
Next time is to hit the deck.
Tell us a little bit about what's happening over there.
Most all the curb and gutter now has been formed and placed along both lanes, eastbound and westbound, for the 2-mile stretch of the parkway. Beginning May 8th, we'll start paving on the eastbound lanes, and that should take probably about a month or so to finish the paving work on it. And we're still on track to get the project opened up to the public by the end of the summer.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Carrie, for giving us that quick update. Maricopa, hopefully that keeps you informed. Stay tuned to the communications channels and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to get the latest information. We'll talk to you soon.
Welcome back to the program where the questions are answers and the answers don't stop. It's Maricopa's favorite game show, Permit or Not. I'm your host, Luis Vila, and
Thank you very much for being here this evening. Welcome you to the regular City Council meeting of September 5th, 2023. At this time, we call the meeting to order. I'm going to ask Pastor Doug Mundy of the Maricopa Calvary Church to come forward to give us our invocation, and after which we'll ask Councilmember Ghetto to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So please all rise if you're able. Thank you.
Lord, we just thank you so much for the opportunity to come and pray for the leaders of our city. I'm so thankful for Maricopa, and I'm so thankful for what you're doing here. Your word says that we have not because we ask not, and that the king's heart's in the hands of the Lord like a river of water. You'll turn it wherever you will. So God, these people, by asking for prayer in the opening, are asking for wisdom from you. So by the power of your Holy Spirit, please direct them, give them wisdom, and thank you for the firefighters and the police, and I pray for their safety every day, Lord. So bless this meeting, I pray, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Pastor Mundy and Councilmember Gettle. That'll take us to the roll call, please.
Councilmember Gettle?
Present.
Councilmember Dearman?
Here.
Councilmember Marsh?
Here.
Councilmember Manfredi? Here. Councilmember Wade?
Here.
Vice Mayor Badiella? Here. Mayor Smith?
Here.
Madam Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. That'll take us to proclamations, acknowledgements, awards, and presentations, of which tonight we have one presentation. Item 3.1, presentation 23-13, which is a presentation from Christian Price, the President and CEO of MEDA. Welcome, Christian.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me. Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, wanted to give you a brief presentation tonight on the happenings of what MEDA has been up to and how we are ambassadors with you for the benefit of obviously economic development here in the city of Maricopa. So I'm going to advance the slides here. We'll go through very quickly. See, there we are. So on your desk, you'll see an annual report. As part of the contractual agreement that we have with the city is that we continue to produce an annual report, which is the summation of everything over the past year, the fiscal year, right, from July 1 of 2022 to June 30th of 2023. And so what we have here is just a brief breakout of some of the things that we've been doing. On the very first page, you'll see a letter from me. This is kind of your introduction letter as to what you'll see in here. While this is just the tip of the iceberg and, you know, there's a lot more beneath the scenes, and those of you that participate on MEDA, Councilmember Wade, Mayor Smith, and then, of course, Councilmember Manfredi, you get to see this on a monthly basis. And I do my best to keep you all informed, but at the same time, this is just kind of a sampling of other things that we've been up to. But I really like to tell the public here behind me that the mission here at MEDA is a really simple one. It's to promote and attract economic growth by appealing to industry and corporate placemakers, creating job opportunities for residents, enhancing the overall economic well-being of the city of Maricopa through business expansion and or relocation by focusing primarily in the industrial, manufacturing, headquarters, office, or large-scale commercial warehousing space. So our job here at MEDA is to go out there and to seek those large industrial users that want to come and manufacture something here in the city of Maricopa. We see that a lot right now with Casa Grande, because as a 100-plus-year-old city, they have been working very hard, and they're a lot ahead of us in having their land prepped and ready to go and having overcome some of the challenges that we'll talk about here very briefly. So again, what does MEDA do? Just like I said, business attraction and recruitment, they basically fall into these four categories: community and regional collaboration and business expansion, marketing and communications, and workforce development. All of these are part of a company wanting to locate to the city of Maricopa. And when I talk again company, I am talking again large manufacturing, industrial, semiconductors. Those are chips that go in everybody's cars. You see Intel and TSMC. There's a lot of things that go into the manufacturing of those types of things. Councilmember Marsh and I have long conversations on Microsoft and semiconductors and other things. So these are the things that we're after. Now, in order to do that, you got to get your message out, right? That's key. You guys are all elected officials. You know what that means to get your message out, your platform, what is important to you. And so in order to talk about the city of Maricopa and what MEDA is doing on behalf of the city is we have to get that message out. We have to talk to people. And so what I've been trying to do is keep a somewhat conservative count of the folks that we've met with, talked to, explained why we're doing what we're doing. There's been a lot of interest in the city of Maricopa and MEDA and why we're doing it. One of the things that's really interesting that I think you should all be aware of is that, this organization collectively between the city of Maricopa and MEDA is really starting to create a buzz out there. As I talk to a lot of my former colleagues that are electeds, that are also the folks that I knew as staff members, they have asked the simple question, why is Maricopa doing this? Why have they subbed this out? Why have they utilized this 501c3 to do this? And the advantages that are created and the things that are being brought to the table on the surface is something that is creating a lot of interest. And as I speak to site selectors again are those that are employed by large companies to ultimately find out where they should locate their company to, and they scour the entire country. And so they look at our sites and other sites around Arizona and other states. And then also industrial brokers, right? People that do this all the time and meet with folks, whether they're selling land, whether they're interested in having land, whatever that case might be. And so they need to know about us. So we cannot get to the end game of locating a company here if people don't know we exist, right? And so it makes sense to get out there, talk up our assets, talk up what we're doing, why we're doing it, capitalize on that excitement, and find out how can they work with us, and that ultimately how can we close a deal that ends up benefiting everybody here in the city. So just again, a couple of brief slides here. So I wanted to give you kind of a synopsis. One of the things that MEDA specializes in is responding to leads. So when we get leads from companies like GPEC, which is the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, right, which is also a business attraction unit, they go out and they do this on mass scale. They do it across the country. They do it in a blitz. They attend, in fact, I have some pictures that I've shown the board members that show the amount of conferences they attend. So having them on our side allows us to further our dollars that what we spend in business attraction by getting our name out there. The Phoenix metro area, and as that boils down to the city of Maricopa. So one of the things we get is when they find a lead, whether that's coming from the ACA, which is the Arizona Commerce Authority, that's the statewide agency, or GPEC, okay, or CABC, the Canada Arizona Business Council, they send all of their membership these leads, and they can compete for them. And so this year we received a total of 150 leads from these organizations. Now, we can only respond to those that we qualify for, right? I mean, it makes no sense for if you're expecting to have your time respected and you're saying, I'm looking for something with an existing building and we don't have an existing building and I'm submitting something, you're going to throw that in the trash. And, we've all played the game before that at some point it's crying wolf, right? We don't want that. We want to be respected. So we only reply to those that we qualify for. Now, there's a lot of different qualifiers. But it's kind of interesting when you look at the different quarters, how things played out. I'm going to give you a kind of a synopsis here. With that, you will see that we were able this year alone, just under the standard that we are, with the amount of properties that we have to market here in the city of Maricopa, we were able to respond to over 52%. Now, some of you may say from a grading scale, that's an F. Wait a second, A, B, or C. But you got to remember that if you'll look at this pie chart, that there were some that we simply were not qualified for, right? And some of those we say, well, why weren't you qualified? So I wanted to give you a breakdown here. So of the 52 that we responded to, or the 150, we responded to 52%. That was a translation of actually 78 responses that we prepared and sent back to GPEC or the ACA. Remember, each response takes somewhere between 6 and 8 hours to coordinate with all of the various folks. You have to coordinate with all of the landowners, with the utilities, with the city, to make sure that we're all on the same page, that we know what we're trying to do, what we're trying to win, and why, and where it's going to go. So in that 52%, that's 78 leads. There were 57 that we didn't qualify for and we couldn't respond, and that was in the 38%. That was because we did not have an existing building for them to go into. And then last but not least, the others were qualified areas like, sometimes they would say, hey, you need to be in an economically disenfranchised area, or you needed to be on an Indian reservation. Clearly we don't qualify for those, so we can't respond to them. So it kind of is interesting to say that if you understand this number here, what you will see is that those 57 leads that we weren't able to be qualified for under that 38%, that actually represents 79%. That's the 10 and the 38, right? So that's 48% there. Of that, that's 79% of all prospects we didn't reply to was because we didn't have an existing building. And I think that's really important because part of the contractual obligation that META has with you is to identify those challenges so that you know, as you go into your discussions with your city management, what you're trying to accomplish, who you're trying to help, move things along to make things happen. And if buildings is one of those things, if that's where money is allocated based on the plans and things that you're trying to accomplish, then so be it. But that is one of the things that would have taken us to a 90% response rate if there was an existing building available on one of the existing properties that we're able to therefore submit and say this would be an ideal location for your industrial manufacturing. Does that make sense? Okay. So again, I'm not going to go through all this. I'm not here to bore you. You've seen it in the packet. You all have it in front of you. But I just wanted to, again, identify some of the challenges because you don't know what to solve if you don't know what you're looking to accomplish, right? So we know we want to locate companies here, but what do we need to eradicate? What challenges do we need to get rid of? And so one of the things I wanted to point out is that I don't want you to think that water and power are a challenge, but there is no single company that will ever locate to here without absolutely knowing that water and power are available, right? You have to have a certain amount of megawatts. It has to be redundant. There has to be a certain amount of transmission lines and transformers to push that. Secondarily, you have to know that water is available. How much water is it going to consume? How much is going to be recycled? What is going to be utilized? And how much does that infrastructure cost? And I'll tell you, infrastructure, as you all know, is not cheap. And so it's not that it's a challenge. Global Water and ED3 have both stated unequivocally that they can make it happen and they can do it in concert with partnerships and with the developer, but it takes an ideology of where that company wants to go, and they have to basically be determined that that's where they want to go and why. And then you can build to suit accordingly, okay? Again, existing buildings anywhere from 50,000 square foot to 1 million square feet. That is what people are looking for when we can't respond, is because they ask specifically, I need an existing building so that I can be operational by Q1 of 2024. Well, I can't be ready in Q1 of 2024 if we have no building that exists or is even proposed to exist. So that's one of the issues. Again, speed to market is everything. Now, again, I want to give major props to the City of Maricopa and the Development Services team. We were meeting earlier with Rudy and a big group. And again, the ability for the City of Maricopa to move people through the process in a very quick synopsis is really important. And I want to give you a little pat on the back here. So one of the things that I did recently was I went to the city of not San Antonio, Austin, apologies, in Texas. And Texas is a market that we lose a lot of business to. And so we wanted to go and find out what we could do better and what they were doing. One of the things that we found out in Austin is that Austin, they can offer a lot of incentives, things that we in the state of Arizona cannot offer due to our gift clause in the Arizona Constitution. However, one of the things that we know that while they hold their shiny things up and say, come here because we can offer all this money, it takes almost 2.5 years to get a building permit. Now, if you're trying to make money as a company and you produce widgets and you produce them at $1 billion profit, is it better to get a couple $100,000 in rebates from the city but lose several billion because it took you that much time to get out of the ground? Or is it better to be out of the ground first, making money at what you do, and forget the extra little incentive? Now, I'm not saying incentives aren't important, but what I am saying is that speed to market is critical. And for the folks here at the City of Maricopa to be able to say in 3, 6, 7, 8 months, which sounds like a lot of time to us, but when you're talking about a timeline of build out of phases that might take 5 years for a company to come out of the ground, 3 of which are just in design, acquiring property, setting up the contracts, and then coming out with funding and building that sucker, 3 years is nothing for that type of a company. So if we understand that, then the reality is for the city to be able to perform in that fashion is fantastic. So that's a real incentive that I tout and offer on a regular basis as to, hey, Austin might look pretty up front, but out the back, City of Maricopa is where you ought to be because we can get you out of the ground faster, okay? Again, roadway access, other things, freeways, etc. So again, we're working to overcome these challenges. So I just wanted to again, inform all of you and everyone in the room that we are working collaboratively with the city leaders, all of you, with your city staff, with the utility companies, with the landowners. The idea is the more that we all get into a room and we solve these problems, creatively, figuring out how can we get grants? How can we find monies to get these things solved? How can we do it faster? How can we be in preparation for doing it, even though maybe there's not a company right now looking at that spot? If we can move forward in that process, that makes the project area or the land shovel ready, right? It moves you forward and therefore makes you more attractive to those companies that come by and look. Again, that's what makes us more competitive. So again, collaborating with everybody, we're working on compiling the data. We're also looking to other areas. Those things that we have submitted and we haven't received a response to or a win, why? Why didn't we win? What is it that we can do better, that we can learn from those, that if they located to another city? How do we get that information, compile it, and now say, hey, these are the things they were looking for. Yeah, we were close, but maybe we could tweak this and make it a little bit better. That's what we're looking to try and accomplish, so that we have hard data that we can work with the city together and get this stuff accomplished. Last but not least, in my letter, this is what I wanted to end with, which is, at MEDA, our staff works tirelessly each day to be worthy of the confidence with all of the energies that we put forth dedicated to the outcomes and results. Look, we understand that none of this matters unless we produce something, right? And so we have to understand that things take time. We have to understand that it takes a lot of marketing. It takes a lot of being present. You saw the 3,000 people that we've talked to last year. We're looking to increase that, by 50% or more. I'd like to double it. We're trying to increase our travel. All these things that make it so that the city of Maricopa is literally on the map and aware, so that when these conversations are being had by developers and site selectors, that Maricopa's on their mind. It's the very basic tenet of networking, but it's how it works. And I would like to report to you that this is paying off. As you'll notice in there that you'll see local leads. Those are leads that we have developed of our own accord due to making connections, following up on old friendships and things that in my travels as mayor for those years, how does that play out so that they're looking at us? And it's fun because just in the last little while, we've seen that trips that I've made to South Carolina to meet with site selectors, they're now calling me out of the blue saying, hey, I have a solar company. They're interested in you. Where can they go? And so this is how it pays off. You have to start somewhere. It's a law of numbers game. If you want to get 10 leads, you got to talk to 1,000. If you want to get 100 leads, you got to talk to 10,000. And so this is what we're focused on. It's all based on the tenet of we want to see results because you want to see results because they want to see results. And that's what it's all about. So I hope this gives you some understanding here. This item is for discussion, and certainly I want to be available to answer any questions, but I just wanted to invite you all at any time you want to come and chat with me or the staff. You know where we're at right there in the Estrella Gin property, but we're working our tails off so that we can see this city really become a new blossoming area of things that we don't yet have, which is that industrial side, which is that manufacturing, so that people don't have to drive up the 347, they can stay and work here. And I don't know about you, but I'm sure all of us like to commute 5 minutes instead of 55 minutes. So that's the goal for us. That's my presentation. Thank you for having me. How can I answer any questions, Mayor?
Excellent. Thank you, Christian. Council, any questions, comments? Amber?
You answered my questions.
Councilmember Learman. Sorry.
Thank you. You answered my questions in your presentation. The biggest question I had is what square footage of buildings are they looking for? And you said 50,000 to $1 million. And so that's definitely something for us to, continue to consider. And thank you for your presentation.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Additional, yes, Councilmember Marsh.
Yes, at the League of Cities and Towns last week, I watched you perform. And I think Maricopa can be very proud of you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments, questions? Seeing none. Christian, thank you very much. I would like you to let the audience know in regards to the Maricopa Commerce Park on Maricopa Casa Grande Highway, where the MEDA has partnered with the city to develop a master plan. Talk to us a little bit about what that will do to help you and aid you in bringing in business.
Great question. Thank you, Mayor. Something that City Manager Horst had actually mentioned earlier in the budget season this year as they were talking about some of the partnerships acquired. So MEDA is partnering with the City of Maricopa into the master plan of the ideology of what this area should look like, right? Now, nothing is ever perfect, right? You plan, you've heard the old adage, right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, you fail to plan, I don't know, you get the idea. And the point is that you have to have a group working together to accomplish something. And one of the biggest investors in this area is the citizens, therefore the City of Maricopa. And in your investment in that 240 acres in what we call this Commerce Park, or affectionately the Industrial Triangle, which is an area that sits south of the railroad tracks and Maricopa-Casa Grande Highway, just about where the Pinal Energy area sits, just a little bit to that east and west of that. But the idea is when the City of Maricopa takes that on as a project and MEDA comes in to help plan it, we can together find ways not only to help pay for it, but it also allows MEDA as a 501c3 to go out and find grants. And we've been working with Arizona First and others to help progress grant writing in the economic development arena. Because those are types of monies that exist out there through the latest bills that have come through the presidential administration, that because of that, we can land. And as the city continues to buy property there and expand, it creates what's called a mega site. A mega site is anything above 100 acres, but usually you'll find interest in 500 acres, 1,000 acres. Think of Lucid and Casa Grande. They started with 500 acres, they went to 2,000 acres, right? Sometimes it's hard to cobble all that together. But that partnership between the city and MEDA is going to allow us to really do things that other industries and other cities out there can't do. And I just wanted to take it one step further. GPEC is now looking at revamping their bylaws because I have spoken to them and said, look, as MEDA and the City of Maricopa work together continuously, it puts us in a very unique position that they're not used to because they haven't ever had to deal with something like us. And it's an animal by which the City of Gilbert, the City of Surprise, the City of Mesa have all approached me recently and said, can we come and talk to you about what you're doing? We're very interested in that because they're starting to understand the value and the benefits that happen here. Because MEDA is a private organization through grants, we can offer things in the ways of incentives that the municipality can't even offer, simply based on the fact that as a 501c3 outside of the gift clause in a private entity, we can do some pretty creative things. And so this is the advantage that you all stand to gain. And while we're still young, we still have a long way to go, this is where we're headed. And again, with City Manager Horst and Josh Bowman and others that we're working with, it's a fantastic opportunity. And I am so excited about this Commerce Park coming online because when that does, and as infrastructure gets put in there, it makes it so much easier to talk about the marketing because the control is the city, i.e. the citizens. And because of that control, you're not having to deal with some developer that might say, no, I'm not interested in that. When the 7 of you and your city leaders say, this is where we want to go, we want to see the semiconductor fab here producing, it also creates a domino effect. And the first one that falls, then the others come in behind it because they're suppliers to it, right? There is a whole supply chain that goes around it, and they want to be here too. So everything in Maricopa, and you've learned this from your time here, everything in Maricopa is about the first. Once the first falls, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, and so on.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Christian.
Thank you.
Appreciate the presentation.
Thank you all.
That'll take us next to the report from the mayor. Council, anyone have anything that they would like to share? Yes, Councilmember Mars.
I want you to know that this council has been very busy for the past 3 weeks. It was 3 weeks since the last council meeting. On August 16th, I attended the Pinal County Plan Review here in City Hall. On the 18th, the Pinal Partnership Transportation meeting occurred, starring our own mayor, Nancy Smith. Then there was a senior lunch and learn that afternoon. On the 21st, I attended the Age-Friendly Advisory Committee, a very busy group with noble goals. On the 24th, I attended the Pinal County Board of Adjustment meeting, where I'm vice chair, and the Arizona Commerce Authority put on a broadband event. Then the big deal came. Monday through Friday August 28th to September 1st, that's last week, was the Arizona League of Cities and Towns. This is the gathering where all of us elected officials and suppliers to us could get together and negotiate, learn from each other, collaborate, meet with the big executives. I got to talk with the mayor of Phoenix, and I got to talk with Christian Price too. On August 29th, my focus on this meeting was 5 days of focusing on water, power, and transportation. On August 29th, I attended the Resilient Infrastructure and Sustainable Water Future event, and then a welcome reception. On the 30th, I'll look at our transportation system, or how we're spending $24 billion in Arizona. Also on the 30th, water, what's happening and what's next. Then powering Arizona's growth, how the utilities are planning for the future. And then we had the League's President's Update. On the 31st, there was a session on inclusive connectivity, broadband, to close the digital divide. We're trying to bridge the gap between the haves and the have-nots on broadband nationwide. Also on the 31st, building Arizona's energy and water future using green building codes. And that was pretty exciting. Also exploring Arizona's innovation economy. Arizona has a history of innovation. Just look at what's going on across the state. Next session was Water Infrastructure Grants Workshop. How to fill out grants and who to send them to so you can get big bucks from Washington and from Phoenix to build water infrastructure. Then the Showcase of Cities and Towns. It was a real kids and flags event. We had our Maricopa Youth Council carry our flag into the, where's the flag? This flag right behind me was at the show. And 100 and something cities and towns showed off their flags and their kids or their characters or whatever. And then the president's reception was that night. And Friday, they had a speed networking session for breakfast. That was run by our own Christian Price, where elected officials get to meet with several others and everyone gets to share their stories. And the final closing session was with a guest speaker who billed himself as a comedian, but he was really a motivational speaker, and he got us all churned up and in tears and whatever. Then I had the long ride home from Tucson in the rain. This was my second League of Arizona Cities and Towns gatherings, and it was amazing. I got to talk with government officials, mayors, city council members from all over the state and compare notes. I got to talk with Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego and members of the Pinal County Board of Supervisors. I want to give a special shout out to Katie Proctor, our Intergovernmental Affairs Director. She was so helpful, a real Maricopa team player throughout the whole conference. So thank you, Katie. And that's about it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Marsh, and I applaud Katie as well. She did a great job. Yes, Councilmember Wade.
Well, I think he kind of summed it all up. Yeah, ditto. No, a couple of things I wanted to highlight, especially the youth that were there in attendance for the caucus. Maricopa, excuse my throat. Maricopa youth always tends to stand out in the crowd. They participate in the activities, of course. Their main goal was to bring our flag in, celebrating the 88th city in Arizona. But they get themselves engaged in the other youth programs, which gives them an opportunity to see how other cities operate and comparative to how they're doing. And I'm always really proud and happy to see them accommodate. During the caucus, I had an opportunity to meet with a group of African American legislators, city council members, legislators, mayors, And I have to say that the era of the only seems to be going away as it relates to the state of Arizona. Certainly the city of Arizona, the state of Arizona is working diligently on diversity, inclusion, and and integrity. The opportunity to speak together and to have lunch together and to share each other's concerns and issues was very important. And I was really happy to see that the Phoenix City Council members, who had some very tenacious campaign fights, if you will, come out and share how important it was to work together. And I think that we'll see a lot more of that happening here in the state of Arizona, certainly in Maricopa and Pinal County. I think that given the opportunity to share, we did very well. And finally, I attended the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting last Monday. It was a very lively dialogue. I was most engaged in the conversation. I was watching, not participating. And I think that we have a really good group of people on the Planning and Zoning Commission. They're smart, they're creative, they're encouraging each other and encouraging the Planning and Zoning Department to do the things that they're supposed to do as well. So I was enjoying watching the interchange between them. But that's all that I have there, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Wade. Go right ahead.
I'm sorry, one other thing. I'm appreciative of the number of people who are here from the African American community as well. I think that is an opportunity to share their thoughts and their ideas, and also for them to learn more about what we're doing. I encourage all communities to do exactly the same thing, but I think there's a time where sometimes that information doesn't make it down, and that's why I say I think the time of the onlys is starting to dissipate. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wade. Councilmember Lehrman.
Good evening. I look out into the audience this evening and I see some veterans here, and it reminded me that this weekend I was able to go to the Air Force Academy for Parent Weekend to visit my son. And at the football game, when they played the national anthem, there were men and women shedding tears all around me, and it was quite moving. I just want to thank you to our veterans that are here, and I especially want to recognize the group of veterans that are working on creating a place here in Maricopa to recognize our veterans. And so thank you for your work on that project and for your service.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Lehrman. Anyone to my right? Vice Mayor Vitiello.
Thank you, Mayor. So this conference was interesting, and we focus on several things, but when it comes to public safety, that was one of my most interesting conversations with people, how public safety, how we were actually mentioned by a few different vice mayors and council members, how safe the city of Maricopa is. And this is coming from 91 cities and towns and villages. They actually mentioned us that we were in the top 5 consistently year after year. So I want to let you know that it gets around that we live in a safe city and we care about this city. The other thing was transportation. We fight day in and day out to fix the 347. We talk about it day in and day out. It's on our minds day in and day out. We drive it day in and day out. My point being is if it's outside of obviously infrastructure and public safety, the 347 and roads in and out to keep you safe, because they all are one, they all fit together. It's all about public safety, it's all about infrastructure, economic development, and keeping you safe. So it's a very, very important thing on our minds. And again, when I spoke with, there was a few, Pinal County was there, when I was talking to some Maricopa County people, everybody knows about the 347 and how everybody wants to pitch in and fix this. The financial situation for the 347 is a huge issue for us. Day in and day out, we try to figure out ways. The mayor goes to many meetings, Bob goes, Vince being on a transportation board, the former mayor, he goes to those. Nancy Smith's husband, Pinnell Partnership, we live this 347 just as much as you do. And we want you to know how important it is for us, not only to get in and out, but to make sure you get in and out safe. So I thank staff, Ben, everybody here, everybody on council for what you do day in and day out, where people say to us, when we go to these conferences, we know about the 347, and everybody involved is willing to chip in to do their part. So when it comes eventually to come back to vote for a half-cent sales tax or whatever may come up, please remember, voting yes means fixing the roads to get you in and out safe. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for all those meetings you attend and people you speak to, because without 7 voices, 1 voice isn't enough. So we have 7 plus staff doing that. So thank you all.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Vitiello. I'd like to add on to that. As Councilmember Marsh indicated, I spoke at the Pinnell Partnership Breakfast, and one of my main points, which is something that I think you all need to understand, is that the state of Arizona ranks 47th in how well we finance our transportation in the state. There is a huge revenue gap in how we collect funds for our transportation. So you may want to yell at ADOT. I know I do quite often, but that's not the problem in regards to the funding that's available. It is the gap, and I'm happy to provide you with a great document that came out of RTAC, the Rural Transportation Advocacy Committee. Put together a great explanation on it. If you want that, just let me know, email me. But it explains the gap. Basically, as I indicated, the state of Arizona is 47th in line in terms of how well. And to give you an example, they just passed their budget and plan for spending that revenue, and they had 3 options. They could spend 100% of the money they receive on maintenance of our current existing roads, and that would cover 33% of what needs to be maintained. See how big that gap is? It's huge. They ended up going with option number 3, which was 30% on maintenance and 3% on new roads. What is 3%? So we need, if you have a heart for transportation, which I know we all do, and I hope many of you do because of 347, I ask you to reach out to your state legislators, your senators, your state representatives, and let them know that you're frustrated with this gap and that they need to do something to fix this gap. And it doesn't necessarily mean raising taxes. There are definitely various models throughout the country that indicate how best to fund a transportation plan and fix the transportation gap. So reach out to them and explain how important keeping our roads in A condition is really important. Right now, many of them are in C and D. And also, we need new roads. 347 is a great example of the widening needs that we have. So I know we all want to yell at ADOT. You may want to yell at us. You may want to yell at Pinnell County. But really, we need to be speaking out to our state legislators and explaining to them that they need to fix this gap. That would be very much appreciated. So please consider doing that. And then lastly, I want to share with you a pancake breakfast fundraiser, something truly fun to go and do on September 30th at 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Veterans Center. All the proceeds go to the American Legion Auxiliary to aid and benefit our Maricopa veterans. And I went the last time they had one. Yummy pancakes, so you will not be disappointed. They do a great job, and maybe they'll come up and speak to us later during the call to the public, but please consider doing that. So that is the end of the report from the mayor. That'll take us to the report from the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have a brief presentation. I'm going to call upon either Quinn or Travis to come up and take that time.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to talk about fun stuff, so it's going to be exciting. But as Mayor and Council is well aware, this year the city set out with a goal to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the city in a way that would invite the entire community out, that would get everyone excited, and it would be a signature marquee event. I'm not here to talk specifically about that event or make any shameless plug for this event that'll take place on October 13th, 14th, and 15th at Copper Sky. I wouldn't do that. But I am here to talk a little bit about some of the excitement that we're looking to create leading up to that. So we've put together the Communications and Cultural Services Department, what we're calling the Trail to the 20th, just a series of ways beyond just the event that people can get involved and enjoy some of the excitement around celebrating 20 years and how far we've come in a city. As a city. This is just a brief description that I'll read to you. As the city of Maricopa eagerly approaches its 20th anniversary, the spirit of togetherness and unity shines brightly through a series of captivating community activations and events. These events have been thoughtfully orchestrated, not only to celebrate 2 decades of growth and progress, but also to deepen the bonds that tie Maricopa residents together. The Trail to the 20th will journey towards this significant milestone while providing opportunities for every citizen to engage, contribute, and make lasting memories. The city's commitment to community engagement through these events demonstrates its dedication to fostering a sense of belonging, instilling civic pride, and ensuring the next 20 years are even more remarkable than the last. So these are just some really small, achievable, fun events. Just to give you a taste of what we're looking at here, for the first one, just a series of movies that will play each Monday at the community center. This is for the 55 and up community, those active adults, for them to enjoy. I'm not allowed to say the name of the prominent actor who will star in these movies, but his name may or may not be on our main thoroughfare. But yes, a series of movies leading up to this, again, capturing that Western theme and excitement. This one we do have the rights to talk about. So Rango is a movie that we will play outside for families to come and enjoy. This will be on Saturday, September 23rd. Plan on having a couple of food trucks out there, but just a nice, easy, light event for people to come out and enjoy watching that movie with us. Also, we've been working closely in coordination with the folks at the Maricopa Historical Society to open that train car. Now, this is a tentative date that they're looking towards. They're aiming towards October 7th. We're working to make sure that there's all the safety precautions are up on that ramp, but our hope and dream is to have that open on October 7th and invite the community to come and check that out. That's very exciting. It has been a long time coming. And check out the museum while you're there, of course. You may or may not know, but we have a pretty cool eclipse that is aligning with our event on Saturday, October 14th. It should be prime viewing time, should be a little after 8 in the morning, so we're inviting the community out to the library at 8 in the morning, bright and early. Well, not so bright, there'll be an eclipse, but we'll be handing out glasses. We have about 1,000 glasses that we'll give out, so first come, first serve. Also, a member of our library is interested in doing a little presentation talking about the significance of eclipse and how the science behind it. So again, come out to the library on Saturday, October 14th. And just a couple of other things that we're exploring. Now, we did successfully pull off the Wild West Quest. This was an opportunity for our local businesses to get involved. So more than a dozen businesses participated in this, and residents had a chance to go. And some of them made specialty menu items, but you would go and you'd get your treat or your food, and you'd collect a stamp. Those cards have now been collected, and on September 15th, we'll be announcing the winner and their prize on that. So that was a successful event there. We are exploring the idea of a time capsule. Our thought right now is that would be something that would be displayed at the library, and we're having those discussions right now about what we would include inside. But our thought is this would be something that we would open in 10 years. Sometimes we've seen these go 50, 60 years, and then maybe some of the people that help put it together aren't here to enjoy it, so either have moved or whatever. So maybe we could start something every 10 years would be this time capsule, so that we're exploring that right now. And looking for some fun things we've been talking with the mayor about of how to kick off the community day. And we definitely want to reiterate that as part of the event, there was that emphasis on making sure that, again, the community could come. So the ticket price on that day is a steal. Well, all around it's very low, but that day is half that price. And there'll be a number of activities that we'll have to kick off that event. We've been talking with Maricopa High School about ways to get them involved, so we're excited for all of those things.
Is that our Strawberry Wine Day?
That is, in fact, our Strawberry Wine Day. Dina Carter will be, yes,
right.
and it is Dina Carter, I learned. I
Yeah.
apologize. I thought it was Deanna Carter, but no, I was wrong. Dina Carter and Strawberry Wine, so yes. So yeah, that's just a sample of what we'll be doing leading up to it, but we hope to include this information in our newsletter this week, just that broad range, and then we'll, as each event comes up, make sure that that goes out again in the newsletter and on social media so our community has that chance to understand and participate in all of those fun activities. And that's all I have for you.
Thank you very much, Quinn. Quick question.
Can you just let us know who's playing these 3 days?
Absolutely. So they are the contracts for some of the other acts are filling out right now, and because of the acts that are coming, which are on Friday, the headlining act is Nelly. Both Nelly and Flo Rida, who's playing on Saturday, have heavy country crossover. That was intentional, so they're paired up with strong country opening acts. And then Sunday right now is looking all country, and Dina Carter is the strongest name we have signed right now, but there's other names that are in the wind that should be announced here in the next week and a half. We're pressing hard on that because we know we're getting close to about a month out. We don't want to wait any longer than a month out till everyone knows and has that information so they can. But let me just save you guys some trouble. Don't buy one day, buy all 3 days. You're going to want to be there for all 3 days. But Nelly Fillmore is on Friday, Flo Rida is headlining Saturday, and Dina Carter on Sunday.
Excellent. Great job, Quinn. Thank you. Appreciate it. That'll take us to the call to the public. So let me read to you what happens during the call to the public. The procedures to follow if you address the council are: council requests that you express your ideas in 3 minutes or less and refrain from any personal attacks or derogatory statements about any city employee, a fellow citizen, or anyone else, whether in the audience or not. The mayor will limit discussion whenever they deem such an action is appropriate to the proper conduct of the meeting. At the conclusion of an open call to the public, individual members of the council may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the council, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be put on future agenda. However, members of the council shall not discuss and take legal action on any matters during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. Tonight, I have 8 wonderful residents who want to come and speak to us, and then if you did not turn in a speaker card, you're able to speak after these 8 residents are speaking. So my first one is Crystal Ojan.
Good evening. That's a long walk there. Good evening to everybody. Nancy Smith, Mayor Smith, all the council members, and everyone here tonight. My name is Crystal Ojan. I am the owner of the Maricopa Lifestyle magazine. I've left some in the lobby for you all. Hope you take one and grab one and give me your input. The other reason I'm here tonight is I want to run for city council, and I'm hoping I'll get some support from you all here in the community. I love the community here in Maricopa, and I am hopeful that I can be an asset. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, my next speaker card is from, I'm sorry, is it Gretel Rowe? Did I get that right? Oh, okay, you can correct me if you'd like. That's perfectly fine.
Good evening. I'm here to talk to you about the dog parks that have been closed and the new ones that have been reopened. To me, I'm a new person in Seattle, I came from Seattle. I came to Maricopa, and it was a community place for us to gather and make friends and find out how some of the older generations that we met there are doing, whether or not they had, elderly people that had fallen sick or something like that. Sometimes you'd make a business deal. All sorts of different things happen there that are not happening at the new parks. And the reasons that we feel they're not happening at the new parks is they're very small. Sorry, I need to catch my breath. The entrances are not handicap prone. There's no divider between big dogs and small dogs. And we've already seen some sort of interaction where one dog was picked up and shaken violently and ended up at the veterinarian's office because there's no dividers. You have big dogs coming in, aggressive dogs, you have very timid dogs, and that just does not mix. Along with that, we also feel that it's not very cleanly. We've noticed the dumpsters have not been cleaned in over a week's time, bugs, everything else. and to have a numerous amount of dogs that used to go to the old dog parks in one small area at Copper Sky is just not cleanliness. I mean, you have people not cleaning up. It happens, and we'd like to see something done about that. There's no picnic tables to sit down and relax and actually have a conversation with somebody. The lighting is not done very well. There's one light where people kind of congregate along with the bugs. The agility course, it's a great idea. Nobody uses it. It would have been better off using it to widen or give us more room to actually utilize that park and walk our dogs and congregate there as a community. Again, the parking spots, there's only 7 compared to maybe a football field that we used to have to park in as far as getting to and fro from the dog parks that we used to have. It's a very, very sad situation. The one over here, just across the street over at Pecana Park, no water, no trees, no benches. It was very sadly put together very quickly, almost like a Band-Aid. We're asking for your help to do better, to find some sort of means of helping us, the people that do actually congregate and want a community that comes together and walks their dogs and takes care of their dogs. We have a lot of good ideas. If you guys would like to reach out to us, more than happy to get together and sit down and talk to you. Just wondering why the other dog park is still not being torn down or anything. Is it like a premature closing? Sorry, is that my 3 minutes?
That's right, thank you. Thank you. I do want to address a couple things before we have probably about 6 more speakers on the dog park. The dog park at Pecana Park is still being worked. There will be another section added for separation of small dogs and large dogs, and I believe amenities have been ordered as well. Am I correct on that? Yeah, so the plan is to provide amenities there and definitely water availability. But you will see 2 sections, one for large dogs, one for small dogs. Then also right here at City Hall, we're planning a park to the east of this building, and there will be a dog park added there, which will also have 2 sections and amenities as well. And so we do plan on having a total of 3 dog parks. I wasn't aware that the original dog park is closed. It's closed? Yes, it is. Okay, okay. But City Manager Horst has indicated he'd be happy to respond to the questions at a later time. Is that correct? Yes, and so we'll make sure that we get answers to those questions. So hopefully that helps for the next speakers coming forward. And the next one is Tim Johnson.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, Mayor, Vice Mayor, thank you for your time. To reiterate what my previous resident said, it is a grave concern for us as far as residents. The amount of space from the acreage that we, used to enjoy until now has now been drastically reduced. We understand the big picture as far as, overall what it does for the city of Maricopa and the state of Arizona, why that facility was sold and what we're doing with it going forward. However, it has to be looked at strenuously at some point. It's not conducive and productive right now. Short to intermediate term, it causes problems. For one, I have a dog that I've invested in from a behavior standpoint. He's quite active, he's heavy, and that's not productive for other residents that essentially are a little bit more apprehensive about being at the park while I'm there. So we ask that you all take that into consideration and at least listen to other residents that have concerns about that, because there are some good ideas and some feedback that's being thrown around the dog park that may have been incorporated prior to us launching a new dog park. For one, the lighting is bad, right? And it's not necessarily a hazard concern because Copper Sky within itself is a safe environment. But I've heard other citizens say, hey, can you stay out here with me because, I'm not comfortable being out here at night. Well, I'm like, well, this is one of the safest cities in, hey, so, but to give them that, put their heart and mind at ease, I'm willing to stay later and come earlier just to make other residents at ease, but we need to do something about that long term. So thank you all for that, and thank you all for taking anything that we've put forward to you all in consideration.
All right, our next speaker is Rick Lutz.
Let me say thank you very much for the privilege of expressing myself. You're going to hear a lot from my peers, friends that meet every morning at the dog park. And right now what we're missing is parking. There are 20, 22, 23 people there every morning taking care of their dogs, giving their dogs a chance to run around, interact with each other. And you have given us 7 parking places, and 2 of them are for disabled people. So we desperately need parking places there. The other thing is shade, and that sun is brutal in the morning. There's no, excuse me, no place to sit where the dogs are, inside the dog park, so we can keep an eye on them, make sure dogs don't hurt each other or hurt themselves. And even at 8 in the morning, most people get there about, I don't know, 6:30, and there's no place to sit inside the dog park that is shaded for us, and that we desperately need. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is, oh yes, City Manager.
Mayor, some of these comments came to me via council, Vice Mayor, and we have already directed staff to do a couple of things. One is to bring picnic tables to the park, to provide additional shade, so that's already underway. We also have fixed the latch. Now, a few of the things I'm hearing tonight for the first time, so I'd certainly like to get a better understanding of those. But the benches and those type of things, we are adding a second portion of park out at Pecana Park that be more for the smaller dogs. So I guess what I would ask, number one, some of this we're aware of and we've already directed to start happening. I would ask if this group could find 1 or 2 people that could speak for all of you that I can work with to get good communication. It's hard to do it with 30 or 40 people moving in different directions, but if you as a group could pick a spokesperson or 2, not necessarily tonight, but as you have a chance, and then we'll be happy to sit down with you on these other items, some of which are already in the works and some of which maybe we're not aware of yet. So.
That's excellent. Thank you, City Manager. That's really good new information. All right, our next speaker, if you still have more comments to make and or questions, is Joe Thompson.
Like you said, here you go. Here's a written thing about concerns. We talk about it. You know about it, right? We talk about some of the dog park petitions.
Thank you.
Well, after I get mine, he can have mine. But he's leaving anyway, right? Okay, some of the issues like the dog, the parking, the water fountain at the current park has low pressure, and it's hard to fill water bowls. And we are allowed to park by the park maintenance. Of course, no shade, too few benches. Will you spray for ants and mosquitoes? They're brutal. And we know we need 2 dog parks. Will the old benches, picnic tables, and water fountain be repurposed for the new parks? Now, Jay Taylor had an article, 8/30/21, that the new dog park would be 1 1/4 acres. Monica Spencer had an article, 6/29/23, that would only be 40,000 square feet. Why the downsize? And when will Innovation Group, Limited Liability Development, Old Dog Park, or have they started it yet? was the design of the new dog park were snowbirds taken into account? Because they will be here this month, next month. Another thing would establish a dog park advisory board for future issues so we avoid these things. Maybe use 2 people from the morning, 2 people from the evening, and 1 handicapped person. And day and time, dog park closed for cleanup. The old dog park had days and times that maintenance would come by and clean up. This doesn't. Current trash cans that are hanging on the fence are inadequate for the output of the dogs. They get filled up too fast. And also, can we have an email for the person who we can send park issues to so they can take care of things? We used to have Nathan Hewlett, and I would send them emails about no bags or stuff, full trash cans, and of course the porta pots that were full from use on the soccer field. Okay, and is the gate at the dog park ADA compliant for wheelchairs? And you need a concrete walkway entrance inside the gates to make it easier for wheelchairs and walkers. Now also, how many council members have been to the new dog park? Please raise your hand. Okay, so you know the problems we're talking about, right? That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Appreciate that. All right, the next person that we have to speak is, I don't want to massacre the first name, but thank you. Come on forward. You knew. Thank you.
Mayor, council, fellow residents, good evening. I don't want to come up here and be redundant because a lot of it we have spoken about, okay? But one thing that I do want to emphasize is that I'm really shocked that you guys are making all the decisions for the dog park. I live across the street from the original, and I've been attending that dog park for practically 8 years. And that thing was a Taj Mahal of dog parks when it opened up in 2015. And it slowly but surely has been degraded because it's an afterthought. To everybody, it's an afterthought. And all of us that go there on a daily basis and sometimes bi-daily basis, we see it. It's all happening right before us every single day. Once again, do we really have to email somebody to put bags in the dispensers? Do we really have to email somebody to take out the trash? Do we really have to email somebody to refresh the gravel after 8 years? I've been wanting to put together a volunteer group, so if that's available to keep up the upkeep, if the city can't keep up, we'll gladly do it. But we don't want these new parks, especially the one behind here, to go into disarray because of lack of resources, funding, whatever you guys want to do. I mean, whatever you guys want to call it. We don't want it to go that way. I mean, there was this one spot directly in front of the the active dog side that started out as a bald spot that was literally about 18 inches. Right now, go out there, it measures about 40 feet because it never got addressed. And I could go on and on and on about the light posts never having been applied a layer of paint, where the dogs pee around the pillars never gets, we used to bring our own brooms because nobody pressure washed anything. So basically it's an afterthought. And that thing was a Taj Mahal. It was a point of pride. And Maricopa, as residents of Maricopa, I know that we're proud of a lot of things. And that should be right there. That should be right at the top. Along with that sign when we're entering, along with this. You guys aren't going to let this become this Taj Mahal go into disarray, are you? No, you're not. Because you guys live here. Well, we live over there. And all of those points that they brought up are very, very valid. It's not like we're asking for splash pads or swimming pools. We're asking for the base. We'll ask for that later. But for now, we just want the very basics, okay? We went from 400 parking spaces to 6. Okay? The closest other parking is literally 300 yards away. You've got to walk around the lake. Okay? Which, for me, I'm a double transplant recipient. I can't walk 300 yards, especially in the summer. So we need to figure that part out too. But let me just go review some of the things that, that maybe we missed. Okay, one of them is to relocate the fence. There's a Ramada there at the one on Copper Sky. There's a Ramada there that was existing. Thank you very much, folks. I hope you guys really, really take it to heart, take it serious, because we are serious. And, you know, we're not going to stop, you know. All we're asking for is the very basics. The very, very basics. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And of course, I don't think you'd find any city council member who isn't full of pride and wants to make sure that our dog parks are something that we can be proud of as well. I would like to make one comment in regards to providing feedback. This city was well aware that there would be folks interested in providing feedback. So when the original dog park presentation was made here at City Hall and then also put into our newsletter, there was a link where you could submit what your desires were for a dog park. And I would have to say, based on what you're providing to me, maybe you weren't aware of that link to provide that information. But we did seek for it, and I apologize that it didn't meet the needs of the communication of that event. But we'll have city manager address, because I think that was it on my speaker cards for the dog park. Am I correct? Yes. Okay, so Rick Lutz, would you mind being the lead spokesperson and talking with city manager and maybe gathering 1 or 2 additional folks to talk with him about these concerns? Would that be something? So before you leave, would you provide your information to City Manager Horst? That would be great. Yeah, I just pulled your name out of the hat. What? Oh, he says I voluntold you. I did say would you, but I would appreciate that. That'd be great. Okay, so the next speaker card is Patrick McCobb. Hi, sir.
Hi, good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me to come up. My name is Patrick McCobb. My company is USA Energy Efficiency, and you might go, USA Energy Efficiency, that's unique and different. We are a company that promotes energy efficient products that are made in America. And we've been very fortunate and very blessed. We have a product that we're very excited about right now, our Apex EV charger, electric vehicle charger, that we're going to be going around and talking to a lot of the businesses about in the next few weeks. And we have a unique twist on what we do. We have a kiosk that goes with virtually any electric vehicle charger that's out there that allows for the site host to generate revenue every time somebody plugs in that car. And it works with every electric vehicle charger out there. We're with all of the basic chargers that are on the market today, commercial and residential. There's no revenue generation from your home, it's revenue takeaway. But at the commercial site, both industrial, in front of your retail stores, your restaurants, anywhere that you're going to be putting electric vehicle chargers, and they are coming, whether we like it or not, you're going to be able to generate revenue from that electric vehicle charger. And I'm very fortunate in town that Danielle with Adobe Blinds is kind of the person that's helping head that up for me here in Maricopa, as I am just a recent transfer from the city of Prescott, and my wife and I now live over in the province over here, which we absolutely love. It's like heaven. But I just wanted to share that with you, as I'm going to be getting my information over to the purchasing departments and all the other folks and some other folks in town, and Adobe Blinds is going to be helping me to do that. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. I asked her to come up.
Thank you.
And I will say this, I'm here today because Adobe Blinds was so helpful in my own home. She introduced me to what's going on here. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is, and last speaker card is Ed Michaels. Make sure I turn on the timer for you. Just kidding, just kidding.
Good evening, Mayor Smith, Vice Mayor Vidiello, and Council. And you don't have to put an S on it. My wife said one of me is enough.
All right.
I'm here to talk to you about point 8.1. And I'm interested in what process you're going to develop. And I want to ask that when you develop it, you do the what, the when, and the why. Answer those three questions, okay? I want to know, what are you doing, when are you doing it, and why are you doing it? Okay, that's what you need to keep the people informed on, all right? I'm waiting to hear the conversation because I had some questions on it that I talked to Christian Price about and I talked to Matt about tonight. And I'm going to wait to see what your discussion is. And then I will direct my questions to you because you're going to make the decision on the new city manager. Now, I don't want him to leave. And if I had a chain, I'd chain it on his ankle and chain it to something because I think he's that good. And I hope you find another one that's just as good.
Okay, so just to be clear, you realize item 8.1 is not the process for selecting a new city manager.
Okay, identify the process.
Exactly, and that process will certainly be identified in a future agenda. Thank you. Now, at this point, would anyone like to approach the podium and speak to council? Yes, please come forward. Please state your name.
Christine Bellinger. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Thank you for the things that you've been doing. I see some notable difference. I also have a pet, a dog. I do go to the dog park, so I agree with a lot of things that are said. And the Bible does say a righteous man cares for the needs of his animals. So there we go. And some of you have them. So there's a plug for them and us. I come to you today as a reminder of the books that are at the library. I've come in the past, and I haven't been here for a while. But I do want to remind you of what we have in our library that do not promote character or confidence for our young children. Our young children, our preschoolers, and the library. I don't have one of the books from the preschooler and the smaller children part of the library, but I do have for the teens. And you know, I didn't want to read anything from these books today because these are not help books. These are books from that the librarian has ordered. I haven't talked to them recently for the LGBTQ+ group. These are like novels. They discuss sexual acts, not becoming to a teenager. We were all teenagers. I'm thinking that many of us could have been insecure of how we look or how we think or how we feel. It could be a bad hair day. Could be the way we're dressed. Does this look right? You know, we're insecure. And if we're not there to stand with our children and provide for them through our tax dollars, to encourage them, to let them know, you know what, you were made special. You know, you can move forward. They don't need to be distracted with this. This is trash. This is disgusting. They talk about suicide pacts. I mean, why? It's not a help book. It's a novel. I don't want my grandchildren to be exposed to this. I don't think you want your grandchildren or children to be exposed to this. It isn't good for our library. So I bring that back to your attention, and thank you for, I'll leave these books here so that you may view them after the meeting. I'm dry. We need to bring back the rain here.
Section, or did you find them? Because I thought we had a plan for putting these types of books.
No, they're dispersed throughout the library. When you go into the library, you'll see the librarian assistants there at the desk. And if you go to the right, you'll see a large room and a beautiful couch. I mean, the setting is beautiful. And then you have these display holders, and they'll have books up. Well, I just go in, and I can identify them by their mark. It says LGBTQ, and they took the rainbow from us. So you see them, so I can just go in there and I can pick out all these books. And I've been checking these out for a long time. They
Okay.
said, well, if you check them out, then we're going to keep them. So I didn't check them out for over a year, and you know what? There are so many books. So I do this, and I have friends that help me, and we do this on the behalf of your children, my children, all of their children, and our communities. So
Okay.
I just ask that you would
Sure, thank you.
revisit this matter.
City Manager, is it okay if I ask Quinn to take a look at these particular books and make sure that they're placed in the right location?
Mayor, the question before was that they were put up in displays as you walked in. That's not the case anymore.
Okay.
But they are a segment of the community who has different feelings and different preferences, and they have to be respected as residents of our community as well.
Okay.
And frankly, these books are available, and people can choose or not choose what they want to read. Certainly, we'll look into this more further, but it's not pushed in anyone's face. It's just there as a reference. And frankly, there's books on politics and everything else that people have different opinions on, and we have to be representative of the whole community. But I will be happy to have our staff take a look
Thank
at
you.
this a little bit further.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure that the agreed-to policy is being used, so thank you.
It is in the teen section, and then it's along the wall to the left.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to approach the podium? Yes, sir. Please state your name.
First to Mayor Smith and City Council, City Manager Horace. My name is Aubrey Morris, and I was here at the last meeting regarding the Wild West Music Festival. At that time, it was not disclosed who the headline artist was, and now that that information has been released, Nelly and Flo Rida, which, I don't know, about 30 minutes ago, Quinn mentioned that those two artists were crossover artists, and I would beg to differ that. I'm pretty sure if I would ask this side of the room if they were familiar with those artists. Are you familiar with Nelly, sir? Are you familiar with Nelly? Flo Rida? To make the statement that Nelly and Flo Rida has crossover appeal is not an accurate statement. So going forward, if you are concerned with what the black community thinks about entertainment in this city, I can give you a list of artists that everyone would know. Gladys Knight, The Temptations, the Stylistics, Rick Royce, one of his favorite groups, the OJs. That's who we would like to see to represent us. For the record, Nelly and Flo Rida, they are considered, if you go to Billboard and look them up, you will not find them in the country western section. They're considered either hip-hop artists or rap artists. So to come up here and say that they have crossover appeal, again, no one that likes country music would like to come and see those guys. So keep the black community in mind next time, and maybe bring some of the black community leaders to the table and get our opinion of who we would like to see to represent us musically. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, is there anyone else that would like to approach the podium at this point? Yes, please do. Come forward and give us your name.
Yeah, Tom Kelly. I'm commander of Post 133 American Legion, and I also run the Veterans Center here in Maricopa. I'm just up here to invite you to not just a pancake breakfast.
right.
We have quite a few going on this month. We have the potluck, second Saturday every month out there at 5 p.m., 5:30, 5 p.m. Take them out and have something to eat, bring some food. That's for the veterans and their families. Come out. Don't cost anything, just bring your food out, we have a good time. Also, we have a 9/11 flag raising at 0800, 8 a.m. for the civilian time. To come on out, and we really haven't got anything too much planned this time, but come out, we're still going to raise the flag and do a ceremony. We also have the First Responders Barbecue this year. Our yearly barbecue will be the 7th one, I believe. And it is on the 23rd of September, Saturday, 23rd of September at 11, it's at 11 to about 11 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. All veterans and their families are welcome, and of course, all the first responders, the police, the fire department. They already know about it. I'll pass the word to them. But come on out and have some food. We got hamburgers, hot dogs, Jersey Mike's, the Roots got something, Helen's got something, so really, we're going to have enough food out there. You won't starve to death. Also, on the 30th of September, that's the pancake breakfast fundraiser by the auxiliary. That's where they make their money. It went great last time, and I'll do a little bit better on the pancakes this year. I got carried away with the sausage, but I'll do a little bit better on that. Also, in October, I'm really quick. In October, we have on the 28th of October, the American Legion Auxiliary is having a craft fair. We had it last year, and if you want to come out and buy some crafts, all the tables are full right now. It didn't take long for them to fill out, but come on out, and we have a bunch of craft dealers out there. We did it again last year. We had a great time. And on the 28th of October, on the 29th of October, we did this last year too. The Sons of the American Legion have a fundraiser, the car show. He's going to put on a car show, have hot dogs, Coke, any costumes for the kids, and does a good show. But come on out for that. That's going to start at 7 o'clock in the morning till somewhere around 12:30. It's a Sunday. So, and I just want to remind you, the Veterans Day is coming up and on the 11th, and the parade committee has already met, and I was there, and you people, you probably already know about it. But that's coming up. We're already setting up for it, so we're in the process. And all the veterans, how many veterans in here? How many veterans know what a veterans center are? Okay, well, we need more is out there. There's the old library on Smith Yankee Road. Oh, the old library on Smith Yankee Road. It's hard to talk to them and them at the same time. Thank you. And of course, you're all invited to all events.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Just in time. Would anyone else like to approach the podium? Yes, please do. State your name.
Hi, my name is Antonia Presame. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak. I just wanted to speak a little bit about these books. I have a lot of friends and I have family who are in this group that read those books or that are that are gay. And to me, coming up here to tell me what my grandchild can read or not read is not anybody else's responsibility but my own. If you don't want your grandchildren to read it, don't go to that part and don't pick it up. Because hate is wrong in any way, be either race, be what you choose, who you choose to love, or what religion. Next thing is, I'm Catholic. I'm going to go into the library and I don't want to see the Book of Mormon. That's not anybody's business. So I just feel very strongly about that, and I wanted to say something. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's keep in mind that this is a council chamber and applauding is not necessarily something that we do. All right. That will take us, would anyone else like to speak? All right, seeing none, that'll close the call to the public. That'll take us to the consent agenda. At this time, we have consent agenda items 7.1 through 7.7. I have no speaker cards for any of the consent agenda items. Council members, do you have any questions, concerns, issues that you'd like where we can discuss on any of these consent agenda items? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Learman, seconded by Councilmember Marsh. And second opportunity for any questions, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you very much. That'll take us to the regular agenda and the public hearings, of which we don't have any public hearings tonight. And our one agenda item is Agenda 8.1, which is 8.1 Contract 23-30. This is to discuss the amendment to the city manager's contract. So, council, I will open it up for discussion, questions, comments. All right. I do have a couple comments. Yes. Yes, Councilmember Wade.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Business is business, and we take care of business as is necessary. You have changes if you're a business owner. You know you have changes in your operation, and you have to accommodate for that. Sometimes it's in the best interest of your business, sometimes it's not. We have been fortunate to have a strong city manager for a number of years who committed to Maricopa that he would stay and do what needs to be done in order to make us a destination city. And we're very close to that. However, that means we'll have to have a change in leadership. And in order for that to happen, that means that the city manager will take on a different leadership role, and we'll find somebody else to take on a leadership role commensurate with his duties, or very close to that. I personally don't want to see the city manager go. I have a very fond appreciation of him. We don't always agree, but at the same token, we always listen to each other. But I listen to you as well, and I listen to the things that you say and your concerns and your comments, and I think those all have to be taken into consideration when we talk about what's the better for the city, what's best for the city of Maricopa, and then what's best for a family that has a decision to make. So those are my 2 cents. Thank you very much for allowing me to give that.
Thank you. Councilmember Wade. Anyone else? All right. I just have a point of change that I would request in the 4th paragraph, where it talks about the work is performed with an independence, initiative, and wide latitude for judgment, allowing sovereignty to carry out policy decisions and goals as set forth by and it says the city strategic plan. I think it's important in there to say the city council and align to the city strategic plan and as assigned. This is something that we challenge all of our employees to do, but I think it's important to note that these goals and strategies are approved by city council. So I'd like to see that added. On top of that, I've had a few questions regarding why a chief strategy officer, and for me it was important to have a few conversations, so I had a couple conversations regarding this in comparison to other cities, and I will let you know that the city of Mesa, the city of Tempe has something similar, and you might think, well, these cities are fully built out, what's the difference? And to me the difference is, and based on the conversations I've had, that they are reimagining something. And for the city of Maricopa, I think in the last 20 years, we've come a tremendous distance from the very beginning to where we are now. But I think we're ready and primed for a new level. And I know a city manager takes an exorbitant amount of time managing operations, and although they are charged and challenged with strategic planning as well, I think to have an individual solely focused on strategic planning, to me, is where the benefit comes from, and making that next level for the city of Maricopa, which I think we all desire in regards to what its offerings are. So I see the value as that. And so hopefully that answers, at least from my perspective, to those that have asked the question, why this position? If you look at the description and you see what all this individual will be doing, focusing on the Copper Sky development. How much did we talk about that here tonight, and how important is an additional hospital offering and keeping that moving along? And the development along the Martin Luther Parkway, where we're looking to have retail on the bottom and housing on the top. How important is it for us to have that additional retail? The Phoenix Surf and what that brings to our adventure corridor. The U of A, if you're not aware, U of A is looking to bring in a development that really adds to the benefit and value of the city of Maricopa as well. Our Maricopa Commerce Park, our Vestar development, which is the development that will be surrounding Sonoran Desert Parkway. Imagine what could be available and offered to our community in that area. Maricopa Station, which is south of the railroad tracks, the Civic Center development, which we talked a little bit about in terms of the dog park behind here, but there's much, much more involved in that. And then also the conversations on a sports franchise. And so all of this is huge for a city manager to tackle and keep their pulse on, while operating a city as well of, how many employees do we have?
About 450
450
full-time equivalents.
employees. So it's hard to do both. And what I want to see in this position is us going to the next level. Maricopa is something that I'm proud of, and I want us all to be proud of. And we can take it to the next level in what we have in terms of a place to live, work, and play. And I think all of these elements actually speak to that. And if you're solely focused on that, I think it brings a great deal of offerings for our city. It's definitely in partnership with MEDA and in partnership with the our own economic development group here. So it's a partnership, but it's a total focus on these elements, which I think, I mean, I can't deny any of them. I love all of them. So that's my explanation for this position and why it's important. And I do believe that the person whose contract we're changing, which is our city manager, is the person. If you knew of the various things that he has brought to cities in the past, you'd be like, yes, I want a piece of that. So I want to see him totally focused on this. And so that's my explanation. Anybody else wanting to speak or ask questions? Yes, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Manfredi.
That was last year.
Yeah, yep.
It's his job now. He has hair. I don't have hair. The hardest part when you deal with a city, a business, whatever it is the change that happens. Sometimes it's instantaneous and you gotta move and pivot. Sometimes people give you the opportunity to do it the correct way and find the replacement that we deserve as a city. With Rick, he's given us a great opportunity right now for us to figure out over the next 11 months?
Roughly.
11 months to find his replacement as a city manager, which is the greatest thing for us, is that we get to keep him on board for the next 11 months while we search for his replacement, whether it's somebody in-house or from outside. So we'll be looking and working, and we have an e-session today after this meeting to discuss that process and how we're going to go about figuring out who's going to replace him. When you talk about big shoes to fill, his shoes are huge, but we've done it before. You know, Christian Price used to sit right there in the middle of this dais, and, you know, we've been able to keep the city moving straight forward, even though he's moved on to bigger and better things for himself. So we are not one person. We will find somebody that can do the job, at least okay, compared to Rick, of course. And if you don't realize, I'm saying that he's done a great job for us, and I congratulate him on moving on to the next phase of his life and doing what he needs to do. The only question I had was, I guess, with a job like this, the posting of a job, and we're not posting it out for other people to apply for it. So I guess that's the only question I had, is that okay with us doing that? And I know the answer. I want you give the answer.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Councilmember Manfredi, yeah, city has the right to move things around and create positions, and so we'll have to make sure that's in the jobs that you guys approve in the budget and things like that when it comes up next year.
Yeah, because it is just shuffling a job and moving it around and budgeting and all of that. You know, I got an email today saying we're breaking the law by doing it, and we're not. So I just wanted to make sure it was mentioned. Other than that, I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Councilmember Manfredi. Vice Mayor Vidiello.
You know, I look at it this way. We've had him for 5, 6, 7 years, 5 and a half.
It will be 6 years.
And we've been honored to have him and bring what he has helped bring to this city. So I look at it as, why lose him? I don't want to lose somebody who I know can do a job. Going outside for a position that we know somebody inside can do, because he's been doing it here and knows what goes on in this city. Every piece of land that's available, every piece of property that's available, every contact that's been made over the years. I don't feel we need to go outside. I think we have the man right here. If we had the woman here, she would be the choice of mine, too. What I'm getting at is, sometimes it's not bad to promote within. I'm perfectly fine with it. I mean, you know, okay, we're keeping him within. How's that? Sorry. But the bottom line is that, you know, the other process to find another city manager, you know, may stay inside, may go outside. We'll do what we got to do, but that's a process that will be discussed in the future. But right now, we have 11 months to make sure that we do find the right one, and we keep the one that's here doing what he does best for the last 5 years. So those are my 2 cents.
One last thing to add. I don't know how many business owners are in this room. Probably dozens, you know, or at least a dozen. I'm a business owner. If I could actually step down from that position into doing something, big ideas or just raising money for certain things, just imagine how well you can help your business and letting someone else handle the minutia of the daily business, the office manager or whatever it is, so you can think big and imagine. So that's what it is. And the city, although it's not a business, it is. It runs just like a business. And we need to be able to use the people that we have in their best use. Cool.
Appreciate that. Any additional comments? Please, may I have a motion?
Move to approve?
Oh, I'm sorry, you did, Lori. Thank you very much. We do have one speaker card. I appreciate that, Lori. Lori Wilson.
Mayor Smith, council members, and city staff, I'm here to speak on this proposed change to the city manager's created position as a strategic manager. Our city operates as a zero-based balance budget. Our budget for next fiscal year is not even set. You are now allocating $174,000 to a position that doesn't even have part of the budget. So you're moving money and saying this is for here, but it's not even approved yet. So you're taking money from somewhere else. So in all the other divisions in this city, they have to put together the request for staffing. It comes to the budget, you deal and you discuss. $174,000, that could buy a lot of firemen, buy a lot of police officers. But we're allocating money that we don't even know that we're going to have. Let's see. We always talk about how we get our state taxes moved over and all the shared. Currently, the state revenue is 5.1% less than that was last year. So that's a constriction. My electric bill went up $100. Everyone is pressed right now. It is an inflation thing. So now we're talking about something that doesn't need to be done today. His contract is not over until June 30th. This contract starts July 1st, 2024, and continues into December 2025. That crosses 2 fiscal years. You're promising to pay someone for 2 years, but you can't promise to keep people in other divisions. So who's to say if you don't have the money to pay him in 25, who do you cut? What services do we cut? Where's our public safety? So we need to look at how we're doing this for our city. If you're telling the fire department, the police department, the library, how many staff members you need, what's our job going to be, how much is our budget, but you can't have $174,000 because we also have to pay our city manager $220,000. Is he going to be traveling? What's the extra expense? If he's already director on META, then maybe we move positions into META and work with that. And I understand he's got great ideas and things, and you could use that, but I understand that he has a contract, but you are now telling every other person in this city and every other division, I don't care what your asks are, but if this is what we want to do with $174,000 today, even though we don't have a budget for next year, we have it estimated that you're going to have $34 million there. Your estimated sales share was $9.4 million, and your estimated income tax was $16.8 million. Is that guaranteed right now? Not even close. There's so much constriction in this state. There's so many other things to be had. Yet you are now giving money you don't know you will have. That's what I have to say. I don't, fine, create it, but why today? We are only 2 months into a fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I will respond, and if any of the other council members would like to respond to that. So making this decision today, and it doesn't have to be made today, we can table it if we choose to, but making this decision today or in the next city council or several city councils down the way, it's all about making sure that the city has the time to determine how are we going to replace this person as a city manager, because he is leaving as a city manager. And so how do we replace them? And we need time to do that to make sure we have a qualified individual. Some of the times these things take 6, 7, 8, 9 months in order to get into place to find the right person. Is it an inside person? Is it an outside person? We have that all yet to discuss, and it all takes time. So for me, that's really the primary purpose, is to always be ahead of the game in terms of planning. In regards to a zero-based budget, if your indication is that all of the revenue that you bring in, you spend in a budget, that's not true for the city of Maricopa. We oftentimes are putting a significant amount of money into our revenue, into our CIP, and the CIP actually helps to fund, major expenses. But we have the funds that we are saving, we have the funds that we put into our CIP, and we have estimated growth, and this job alone has the potential to bring in significantly more revenue to the city. So why do we want to hesitate and not take advantage of the opportunity of the expertise that comes from our current city manager? So in regards to public safety, to the library, I don't see any cuts to that because of this position, because of the comments that I've made just now. And so if any other council members would like to speak up with a comment? Okay. Seeing none? Yes, go right ahead.
In your answer to about public safety, we just put in $1.8 million towards public safety. We value the public safety department and make sure that you guys are safe. I spoke about it in the beginning of the council meeting. We run a zero balance budget. We work very hard. We lowered your taxes 5 years in a row. Now, some people will sit here and say it was only $120. Well, go move to a different city and find out you're going to get your taxes raised. So we are very conservative, and we are very, very aware of your tax dollars, because we live here, we pay taxes, and we want to keep them lower, and we'll continue to lower our taxes. That's one of our goals. But in saying that, we have a surplus, we have a reserve that we make sure we have for a rainy day. We make sure that your tax dollars, we squeeze every dollar, every penny that we possibly can to make sure that we have the reserve. And we're super proud of that. We're super proud of staff to take care of that. And we will continue to work on lowering your taxes, okay? But remember, we're 20 years old, and there are cities that are 20 years old that don't have half the things. I just came from, 91 cities in the league, towns and villages, that I sat with people who can't imagine that with what Maricopa has done in 20 years, and they're 40, 50 years old. So public safety is huge. The two gentlemen in the back will tell you that we work very close with them, and we will continue to make sure that you are safe. And we will do that year in, year out. And again, like I said in the beginning, we strive for this, we work hard for this, we listen to you, but this is a position that I'm not willing to let this man go.
Any additional comments? Yes, okay. Councilmember Manfredi.
When you think about important things in the city and its progression, it's important to understand that the people you have, if they're doing a good job, you want to keep them. And any business. Rick is not retiring to go sit on a rocking chair in front of his house. He's leaving as a city manager of the city of Maricopa in 11 months. He's not retiring. He's not going to go home and sit down and relax. So if by some chance we were not going to approve a contract for him in the future, he might have to start looking for that part-time position somewhere else. A contract position maybe, a 1099, a consultant position. And with his experience and his knowledge and his understanding of government, that would be pretty easy for him to find in almost any city in the state of Arizona. They would snap him up in a second. By locking in an agreement with Rick, what we're doing is making an understanding that we're committed to him and we want to be able to keep him here. Because regardless of where we get a city manager from, whether it's internal or external, having someone with Rick's knowledge, experience, understanding, and ability, we'd be stupid to say, get out of here, right? So we want to keep him here. And that's why we're making an agreement today, we're making a commitment today to make sure that the progress we've had as a city continues. That's why I made the motion a couple minutes ago, and that's why I say, let's vote.
Okay, so the motion was made by Councilmember Manfredi to approve, second by Councilmember Wade. Any additional comments, questions? Yes?
Mayor, Mr. Manfredi, does your motion include the addition that Mayor wanted to add to that paragraph?
Yes. One line that I wanted to add to the paragraph to make it clear that council is responsible as well is in the third paragraph where it says, work is performed with independence, initiative, and wide latitude for judgments, allowing for sovereignty to carry out policy decisions and goals as set forth by the, and this is the addition, City Council, and aligned to the city strategic plan.
I'd like to amend my motion to include that line and that information.
Very good.
Thank you, Ms. Manfredi.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, any additional comments, questions?
I did. I'll second it with the additional amendment to the motion.
Very good. Okay. Any additional comments? Great catch, Councilmember Gettle. Appreciate it. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. That brings us to the end of the agenda. However, we are moving back into E-session. Do I have a motion to do so? So moved by Councilmember Manfredi.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Lehrman. All approved, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.